Hey, hi everyone. Hope everybody are doing great. I am doing fantastic here, and as I promised, I have come up with the chapter Heredity. So let's discuss and decode heredity like never before in just one go or in one shot. So tell me, how many of you are excited with this chapter? And tell me, are you all ready with your notebook and pen? Because not just listening will not work out. Okay, so the video is going to be like 1 hour or 1.5 hours. I don't know how long will it take. Okay, so keep all your distractions away, all your deviations away. Stay with your book, pen, and keep on writing whatever I say. So try to recall and revise with writing. Then things will improve magically, right? So one advice from my side is always recall or revise with writing. Many students fail, okay? Many students lose mark because of this one aspect. Okay, so you should have patience. There are only 2 months left for your exam, or 3 months left for some of you guys. So this is the very crucial moment. It's not a time to take pressure or stress. Okay, it's not time to feel that fear. So just get rid of the fear. Nothing. Syllabus is very little. It's not a huge syllabus. Okay, so there is lot of hype outside in your schools, with your parents and with your teachers, right? But the syllabus is very little. You can understand all of them very easily. Just one thing is, you have to write and practice, expose to more number of questions. So the more clarity you get, more confidence you get. That is what the trick here. Okay, so let us start the chapter like never before. Yeah, just I wanted to share one more information with you all, because many students were asking me, ma'am, we want personalized coaching from you. Say we have lot of doubts, we wanted to clear all our doubts, so we want exact like live classes from you, and they just wanted to learn the concepts in a very different way, right? So I have a beautiful course for you all in the homeschool application, guys. Okay, so your friends are enjoying the course like never before. Not only the marks, they are all getting center marks in their pre-boards, in their unit test, so much effortlessly. Okay, right? So you also have that opportunity. Okay, even now you can join to the course, because from December I am taking 2 live classes a week where I will be revising everything in a very beautiful way. Okay, and also I will be solving the most application questions which can help you to get 100 on 100 marks. Okay, lot of stuff will happen in a course, guys. Okay, and now because this is an examination time, I am providing the course for the very reasonable price. The total price for a the total course for a very reasonable price. Okay, so definitely it is a paid course, because you are learning from an application called Nalini Homeschool application. So guys, it's a paid course, but the amount that you pay is just equal to one Sunday lunch or one dress that you purchase. Okay, so invest for your future. I have heard that students saying their foundation has become so strong that they are confidently facing class 11 and 12 syllabus also. Okay, so my last year student shared in a webinar that her foundation has become solid, so that she has got lot of confidence to face the syllabus of class 11 with A's. Okay, so if you want such foundation, if you want to learn the concepts in a very different approach, if you want to learn the tricks and tips that you can use for exam, if you want to improve your critical thinking, if you want to improve your problem solving, guys, you have to come to this course, and definitely this is the gift that you are giving yourself for your life. Okay, so if you want that personalized assistance from me, just come into this course and have fun. Okay, guys, so now let me go to the very first aspect of heredity. See, the definition itself is very important here, guys. Okay, so just let me Just change the color of my pen here. See, what is heredity is the question that can be asked for 1 mark. Okay, so what is heredity? It is a transfer of same characters from one generation to other generation. You no need to use complicated words like traits and etc. You can use a simple language also here. Okay, many of them are worried about using the grammatical sentences, complicated language and etc. Right? But actually science has nothing to do with the language, guys. You can write your answer in simple English. It is not that your sentences have to be there exactly like the sentences which are there in NCERT. No, you can write on your own as long as the meaning is correct, as long as you have correct keywords in the answer, definitely you will get mark. Okay, so what is heredity? It is the transfer of characters from one generation to other generation is called heredity. At the same time, one more definition is very, very important. So what is variation then? Variation is nothing but differences in the characters. See, we don't have all the characters similar to our parent, right? Maybe my nose can look similar to my parent, or my hair might look similar to my parent, or my ears can look similar to my parent. So they are all heredity. Those characters which has come from your parent is what heredity. But there are so many other characters. My eyes are entirely different, right? So my walking style is entirely different. My talking style is entirely different. So there are so many characters in you which is unique to you, special only to you. They have not come from your parents or ancestors or whoever. So such variations, such differences in the characters from you and your previous generations is what we call variation. So heredity is the passing of similar characters, and variation is the differences that one can find between the current generation and the previous generations is called variation. And also it's very important to understand the importance of variation. Okay, what is the importance of heredity? Say when same characters are passed from one generation to the other generation, the lineage or that blueprint and everything remains same. Okay, so the species can get protected. The species can get retained in a similar way. Okay, so that is the advantage. But what is the advantage of variation? So even the differences that gets created in you from the previous generation is also very important. First point that I would like to tell you is variation helps organisms to the changing environment. Okay, so in your NCERT book, they have given an example of bacteria that can withstand to hot climates. Okay, say yes. So every example from NCERT is very important, guys. Every activity that is there in NCERT is very important. So all these I have covered in that Target 95 course. Okay, so here I cannot show everything, okay, in this 1 hour of video, but I'm telling you every sentence, every activity, every example is very important. It is on them the questions can be framed actually. Okay, so not just understanding the concept for board exam, so you have to study smartly also. I mean, every example you must able to recall, every in-text, every question you must able to recall, every activity is important. Okay, so they have given an example of bacteria, like how a bacterial variation, so how the variation created in bacteria had helped bacteria to withstand for hotter climates. Okay, so all that is given. So all these variations can help us to adopt better, to adjust better to the changing environment, right? So environment constantly changes. 20 years back the climate is not this much hot, okay, but still we human beings got adjusted to the hotter climate because the variations might have happened in our DNA level. Okay, right? So all these variations will help to adopt better, to adjust better for the changing environment. Next important point is variation can lead to evolution. Okay, so we all have evolved from apes. Yes or no? People say that we all human beings have come from apes. So apes were having entirely different characters as compared to humans. But every generation, all the variations, put together after lakhs of years, the apes might have converted to humans. Okay, so similarly, now we are humans, now we have these characters. Who knows, maybe after lakhs of years, because of the variations happening every year, every generation, we might become something else. Okay, we may not look like this, we may not remain like this, we might become some other species, we might look in some other way, right? So that's what we call evolution. So all these variations can help us for evolution. So that is the importance, guys. So number one, variation helps to adapt for the changing environment. Variation can lead to a process called evolution. So these are the 2 points which you have to remember, but this is also very important question. They'll ask you, give the importance of variation. Okay, so now, yes, you should also know that you will find more variations in sexual reproduction, whereas you will have less variations in asexual reproduction. Okay, so here the variations are very large, here variations are fewer, here variations occur, so they happen due to the crossing over or separation of chromosomes. So a lot of variations will happen in gametes here. Okay, so gametes in the sense the egg or sperm that you find it in sexually active organisms, right? So during the gamete formation, during the combination of gametes and etc., the variations happen. But here the variations will happen during the time of cell division, actually during the time of cell division due to some errors in DNA. Okay, so here variations are due to some errors in DNA, but here the variations are due to crossing over process that happens during gamete formation. Okay, so that is what I wanted to tell you here, right? And now who is the father of genetics? Gregor Mendel is the father of genetics. So genetics is the study of heredity. So this person actually studied how these characters are getting passed from one generation to other generation. Okay, so now in the next concept, okay, so this is a very basic concept, you all should know. And now, right, there are certain terms which are very, very important to understand in genetics. Okay, so I mean in the chapter you have a very different terms like allele, right, genes, right, genotype, phenotype, right, phenotype, so homozygous, heterozygous. So until and unless you know the meaning of these terms, you can't understand the concepts in a proper way. Okay, so here I cannot give a detailed meanings of all these terms, but when that term come, I will briefly tell its meaning. Okay, so if you want the detailed explanation, if you want that solid foundation about this, you need to visit my course, or at least, okay, you can watch my old videos, the old playlist which is there in a homeschool YouTube channel also. Okay, so guys, but my suggestion is you should have complete idea about the meanings of every term that is coming in this chapter. Okay, yes. So now going forward, another concept which is very important for exam point of view is differences between acquired traits and inherited traits. So here traits in the sense characters. Okay, so eye color is a character, ear shape is a character, right, nose shape is a character, hair color is a character. So there are so many characters, hundreds of characters are there in an organism. So these characters technically can be called with the word trait. Okay, so what are acquired traits and what are inherited traits? So acquired traits are the characters which we acquire, that is which we get during our lifetime. Okay, for example, knowledge of science. See, I am a science teacher. I have this science knowledge because I developed, I studied, okay, I worked hard, okay, and then I got this knowledge. I didn't get this knowledge from my parent. Neither of my parents are science teachers, okay, right? So they don't know anything about this science and these topics and etc., right? So my wisdom on science, my knowledge of science is a acquired trait, okay? I developed during my lifetime. Nothing is there to do with the genes, okay? So do not change germ cell. Nothing is there relating to germ cell, okay? So it cannot be passed to the future generation, okay? Can I pass this ability of teaching or this wisdom to my future generation? No, it will, because it's not going through genes. They have to develop it, okay? If my kids are inspired by looking at me, they will develop. If they are not interested, they don't develop. It is their personal interest, isn't it? So you cannot pass these characters to a future generation because genes are not involved. Okay, so there is no genes involvement, okay, so no genes involvement, okay, and they do not lead to any evolution. Okay, and also what are the examples of acquired traits? Losing limbs due to an accident, or of course don't write these negative examples. You can write positive examples like gaining knowledge, gaining muscle, okay, by going to gym. All these are acquired traits. Okay, so mention some positive examples that you know in the comment section. I would love to read all your comments. Okay, yes, so what are inherited traits? These are the characters that have come through genes. Okay, so they have come through what? They have come through genes. Okay, so they have come from your parents, and you have a probability of passing them to your kids also. I mean to the next generation. Yes, we have a chances of passing these characters to the next generation because we got it from our parents. It can get passed from generation to generation also, right? Yes, and these inherited traits may lead to variation. Okay, so what are the examples? Eye color, hair color, ear shape, nose shape, anything you can write. Okay, so that is about acquired traits and inherited traits, and I have mentioned some basics here. Okay, so some basic terms like DNA. What is DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid. So it will hold all the genes. Okay, so this DNA has got information to produce protein. These proteins will control the characters. DNA will not directly control the characters. Okay, so actually the DNA is responsible for producing proteins, for producing certain kind of proteins in our body, and these proteins are there, no? These proteins actually control the characters. They will control characters in our body. Okay, say for example, my hair is a curly hair. Okay, why my hair is curly hair? Because I have a DNA, I have a genes in my body which is producing a particular protein. Okay, because that protein is produced in my hair follicle or at the root of my hair is grown as a curly hair. Okay, understood this example? If you have understood, if this point is new for you, type amazing in the chat section. Okay, so DNA directly do not control a particular character. DNA produces, it gives a code, it gives a information for the production of a particular protein, and that protein majority of the times can directly control a particular character. Okay. Yes, and then where is DNA present? DNA is present as, you know, thread-like structure called chromatin, and during the time of gamete formation, these thread-like structures can get arranged in structures of this sort, and these are called chromosomes. Okay, and you know, the pieces, the segments of chromosome is what we mean by genes. Okay, so a pair of genes always control a particular character. Okay, for example, my eye color is controlled by a set of genes, a set of fragments which are present on homologous chromosomes. Okay, right? And here each fragment of a particular set is called as allele. So you should know the difference between genes and allele. Genes means a pair of alleles. Okay, right? Genes in the sense a pair of segments which are present on chromosome. Now each segment is called with the name allele. Okay, yes, if it is a dominant allele, it is expressed with capital letter. If it is a recessive allele, it is expressed with a small letter. So all these things you should be knowing. Okay, so now going on to the next page. Yes, what are haploid cells and diploid cells? You know, the gametes, like it can be egg or sperm, right? So they are called haploid cells because they will have half the amount of gene, half the genes they will have. Okay, what I told you, genes in the sense a pair, right? So what I told you here, gene in the sense a pair. So haploid, the egg or sperm will have only one chromosome with only one segment. Okay, so that is what we mean by half the number of chromosome. Okay, right? So usually a human egg or a human sperm will have only 23 chromosomes. Okay, whereas all other cells are called diploid. They will have full set of chromosomes. Full set of chromosomes in humans is 46 chromosomes. Okay, so 46 chromosomes, but whereas egg and sperm will have 23 chromosome, and when you have to produce a zygote, okay, then egg have to combine with a sperm. Egg will have 23, sperm will have 23. When both of them combine, again 46 chromosomes is maintained in the progeny or offspring. So what is progeny or offspring? That future baby. Okay, so if you call a particular person as a human, he or she should have 46 chromosomes in every cell, then only it becomes a human. Okay, so to maintain that chromosomal number, you know, the egg has only half a set of gene, the sperm has half a set of gene. So when these two combine, you get a complete cell of 46. So that number is maintained throughout in the human population. Okay, so that is all about haploid cell and diploid cell. So now coming to the next aspect, yes, I have said something about alleles here. Okay, so allele is a pair of gene. I mean, each fragment of a pair of gene is called as allele. Okay, and now you have something called dominant allele and recessive allele. I told about this also in the previous slide, and you should also know about the terms called genotype and phenotype here. Genotype is the genetic code which is there in DNA, which we represent with letters, right? Say for example, tallness. So for tallness we write capital T, capital T. For dwarf, if a person is dwarf, he can have the allele small t, small t. You know, genotype is writing the mentioning the genes with the help of this kind of letters. This is called genotype. Okay, phenotype is physical appearance. If a person has got this genotype, he will definitely look tall. Okay, right? So like that, physical appearance is phenotype, whereas what is responsible for that physical appearance? Genetic code is responsible, no? So that genetic code that we write in the form of alphabets is there, no? That is called as genotype. Okay, right? So guys, so these are some of the terms whose meaning is very important. So next, so next let us understand the Mendel's experiment. Okay, so Mendel has done two experiments. One is a monohybrid cross, the other one is a dihybrid cross. So he understood the rules of inheritance, the laws of inheritance through these experiments. Okay, so let us understand the Mendel's experiment. So to to learn about heredity, Mendel selected a special plant called garden pea plant, which is also called with the scientific name Pisum sativum. Remember this scientific name of garden pea plant? It is Pisum sativum. So now the question is, why did he select garden pea plant for his experiment? It's very simple. It has got a short lifespan. So when the lifespan is short, you can able to see more number of offsprings. So when you can able to see more number of offsprings, you can study better about how characters are passing from one generation to another generation, isn't it? So you can write this as one reason, this as another reason. You know need of point 1 and point 3. If you remember, you remember. Otherwise, the third point, you know, it will show 7 contrasting characters. Say height, right? Height has 2 variations, tall and dwarf. Seed color has got 2 variations, yellow, green. Okay. Seed shape has got 2 variations, wrinkled and round. So like this, 7 contrasting characters are there in garden pea plant, and that is also a reason why he selected that plant. Okay, I'm not dealing with 7 contrasting characters in a detailed way. So just watch the playlist or just jump into my course. You will just enjoy all the visuals, all the animations, and all the experiments are extraordinary. You know, the students are, they actually told me that the concepts are just stuck in their head. They cannot even forget the concept. Okay, so that is the level of learning happening in the course. And just, you know, take a right decision, selecting a right mentor, taking up a right course, getting a right coaching is very, very important for your age, guys. Take that decision. Okay, I highly recommend that. Okay, so yeah, these are the 3 points you can always mention, guys. So he did 2 experiments, I told now. What is that? Monohybrid cross and dihybrid cross. After he conducted this monohybrid cross and dihybrid cross experiments, he understood about 3 laws of inheritance. So what are the 3 laws? Law of dominance, law of segregation, law of independent assortment. All the 3 laws are very important. Law of dominant and law of segregation can be understood by studying monohybrid cross. When you study monohybrid cross, you will understand these 2 laws. I'll tell you what are those 2 laws after you learn monohybrid cross. And law of independent assortment is proved and understood with the help of dihybrid cross. With the help of dihybrid cross. Okay, so I repeat once again. Law of dominance and law of segregation can be understood by monohybrid cross. Okay, whereas law of independent assortment is understood by dihybrid cross. Okay, so now let us come to his experiments. So what is a monohybrid cross, right? It is a cross, it is an experiment to study one contrasting character. Okay, so he just took one contrasting character and he understood how that character is passing from one generation to another generation. So studying about one contrasting character, mono means what? One. So studying about one contrasting character, okay, heredity of one contrasting character is called as monohybrid cross. So that you can write it in a simple way. So how did he conduct his experiment? Okay, see here, if you can see this. So I have mentioned the monohybrid cross experiment. Say in the exam, the question on monohybrid cross can be asked in this way. So how they will ask a question? Directly they might ask you, so explain monohybrid cross. Okay, they might ask you directly like explain monohybrid cross. Or question can also be asked this way, prove or explain, prove why some traits can be recessive or dominant. Okay, prove that the traits can be recessive or dominant. So either way question can be asked, but the answer is very simple. You have to explain that monohybrid cross and show them. Okay, so that pattern, nothing is there to write as a theory. Okay, you no need to write anything as a theory. You just have to show that experiment. Okay, so you just have to show this particular experiment. Okay, so this flow you should able to show it in the answer, right? Say for example, let me just show that for you. So you take one tall plant, homozygous tall. So you are taking homozygous condition in the sense what? When both alleles are same, it is called homozygous. So you take homozygous tall and homozygous dwarf. Okay, right. And now this is your parental generation. Okay, so this is your parental generation. Here during the time of reproduction, gamete formation takes place, right? So when gametes are formed, the alleles will get separated actually. Some gametes can have a allele capital T, some other gametes can have a allele capital T. So whatever the gamete you get from this, you will have only one type of allele, capital T. Okay, so here this fellow can produce gametes of the allele small t, and this also gets separated. So during gamete formation, alleles will get separated. That is what we call law of segregation. Do you remember? I have shown the 3 laws. So what is law of segregation? During gamete formation, the alleles will get separated. Some gametes will have one allele, some gametes will have the other allele of a gene pair. Okay, so this is what we mean by law of segregation. Okay, so here any allele can combine with any allele and you will get capital T, small t as the genotype for F1 generation. So these are F1 plants. Okay, so all F1 plants have got a genotype capital T, small t. So here what Mendel observed was when plants were having this particular genotype, all of them looked tall. Okay, though there is an allele for dwarfness, all plants looked tall. So this actually gave a confirmation that if a dominant allele is there, that gets expressed in the future generation. So that is the conclusion he actually gave at the end of this experiment. But he just did one more step ahead. He took these plants and did a self pollination here. Okay, say that second step also I will explain here. So he took the plants of F1, he took F1 plants and he did self pollination, and here the gametes, some gametes will have capital T allele, some gametes will have small t, some have capital T from this plant, some have small t from this plant. So if you want to find out the combinations of the future generation, you can show that in the form of a checkerboard. So how do you put a checkerboard? Gamete of one plant, put it horizontally. Gamete of another plant, show that vertically, and then multiply capital T into capital T, capital T. So this is one possibility that you can observe in the next generation, that is in the future plants which have come from these two. Okay, so this multiplied with this, yes, this letter multiplied with this, capital T, small t, this letter multiplied with this, small t, small t. Always capital T write first, small t write next. Okay, so now capital T means he observed all these plants were tall, and when the plants were having this genotype, he observed all of them being tall. So these guys also, all of them being tall, and when two alleles are recessive, they are together, then he observed the dwarf plants coming into picture. Okay, so here out of 4 possibility, 3 were tall and 1 was dwarf. Okay, so to look at, out of 4 possibilities, 3 were tall and 1 was dwarf, and this is what we call phenotypic ratio. So very important, they'll ask you in the monohybrid cross, what is a phenotypic ratio? Phenotypic ratio is 3:1. And what is a genotypic ratio here? So what is a genotypic ratio? How many different varieties of genotype is there? Capital T, one variety is there. Capital T, small t, how many varieties are there? Two varieties are there. There are two capital T, small t varieties, and small t, one variety, right? 1:2:1 is the genotypic ratio. Okay, so here in the F2 generation, 75% of the plants are tall, 25% of the plants are dwarf, isn't it? So out of 4 possibilities, 3 were tall, 1 was dwarf. That means 75% of the F2 plants are tall, 25% of the F2 plants are dwarf. So what does this say? This says that in a genotype, whenever a dominant allele is there, that will only get expressed in the future generation. Though there is a gene for recessive dwarfness, plants did not appear as a short plant. Plants did not even appear with medium height. Okay, so with this experiment, he actually proved that the traits can be either recessive or dominant. He actually introduced a law based on that called law of dominance. So what did he tell? In heterozygous condition, when two alleles are different, the dominant allele masks the recessive allele. That means the dominant allele suppresses, masking in the sense what? Suppressing. Okay, dominant allele suppresses the recessive allele. So this is the conclusion of monohybrid cross. Okay, so when the question is asked this way or this way, you know, this experiment is what you have to show, and at the end you have to write the conclusion: the dominant allele suppresses the recessive allele. So this proves the law of dominance. Okay, so that is the sentence you can add at the end. Okay, it becomes a perfect answer for monohybrid cross related questions. So now coming to dihybrid cross. So in dihybrid cross, what did he take? Okay, see here, dihybrid cross is a cross between two plants having two pairs of contrasting characters. So in the previous case, he observed how just one character was passing from one generation to another generation. It was a study of passing just one generation, one contrasting character alone. Now, two contrasting characters are there together, and he started studying how these characters are passing from one generation to another generation. He wanted to know whether one allele can influence the other type of allele or not. Okay, so he just wanted to know the influence of one character on the other character. Okay, so that is the reason he took two characters together, combined, and he started working out on that. Okay, to understand how one character is influencing the other character. Okay, so here, yes, so let us, what he took in his experiment was, he took two plants. One plant was having round yellow seeds. So he took seed color as well as seed shape as to two characters staying together. Okay, so guys, so let me just show that experiment for you. He took a plant having round yellow seeds, okay, crossed with wrinkled green seeds. Okay, so here round is a color of a seed which is dominant. Round is dominant over, round is a shape of a seed. Okay, round shape is dominant over wrinkled shape, whereas yellow color is dominant over green color. So what is the genotype you write? For each character, two alleles have to be there. Since round is dominant, so I am writing two capital R's. So yellow is a dominant color, so YY. So here small r, small y, small y. Okay, so he crossed this plant with this plant. So let us see what are the gametes formed in the first filial generation. So whatever the gamete it is, it will have RY as the allele. So gamete, one of this goes to a gamete or one of this goes to a gamete. So gametes can have alleles R, capital Y. Similarly here, what are the alleles that gamete can have? Small r, small y. So now when these two combine, you get a plant of capital R, small r, capital Y, small y. All R's you write one side, Y's you write one side. If capital is there, write that first, small is there, write next. Okay, so now this is the genotype of F1 plants here. So this is the genotype of F1 plants. So if you look at here, all plants were having round yellow seeds. So all plants were having round yellow seeds in the F1 generation. Okay, so now these two plants, I mean the plants having this genotype, he took and he did self-pollination. Okay, so when he did self-pollination of this variety, let us check what he got in the F2 generations. What are the possibilities of gametes? So now I am showing gamete formation here. Okay, so gamete can have this allele and this allele. So some gametes will have RY as the alleles, combination of alleles, and this R can combine with small y. So some gametes can have RY as the gene, and small r can combine with capital Y. Some gametes can have this, and small r can stay with small y. So gametes can have this. Similarly, the same type of gametes are possible for this fellow also, because it is also having the same genotype, no? So this fellow also can have this as one form of gamete, or gamete having this allele, gamete having this allele, and gamete having this allele. So same, so this produces these gametes, this can produce these gametes. So now how do you show the combinations? You can show it by putting a checkerboard. So how do you put a checkerboard? Gametes of this, take it horizontally, gametes of this, take it vertically. Say RY, capital R, small y, small r, capital Y, small r, small y. So gametes of this plant, I took it horizontally. Similarly, gametes of this plant, same gametes. Capital R, capital Y, right? Capital R, small y, then small r, capital Y, then small r, small y. Now you just multiply and check. What do you get? Capital R, all R's one side, all Y's one side. Just go on multiplying and you get a checkerboard. Okay, so I'll show you a checkerboard here now. This is a checkerboard that you get, right? So capital Y, small r, capital Y, small r, small r. So these are the 16 varieties you will get. Okay, so out of the 16 varieties, it's very important, 9 are round yellow. So round yellow, how many you will get? 9. Okay, and 3 are round green. Okay, and remaining 3 are wrinkled, right? So this is wrinkled yellow, and one variety is wrinkled green you will get. Wrinkled green is one variety. Okay, so now if you look at this phenotypic ratio, what is the phenotypic ratio? 9:3:3:1 is the phenotypic ratio. Out of 16, 9 varieties are round yellow, look like a parent only. Okay, wrinkled yellow is also one of the parent, right? So initial parents, did you see the initial parents? We took round yellow guy and crossed with wrinkled green guy. So here out of 16, 9 round yellow looked like parent, one wrinkled green looked like parent only, but the new combinations have come. Round character stayed with green, wrinkled character staying with yellow is a new combination. What does this prove? This proves that the alleles have independent nature. Any allele can combine with any allele. That is the reason round character stayed with green character, wrinkled character stayed with yellow. Okay, so alleles have got independent existence. Okay, and they can combine whatever they the way they want with whomever they want. I actually explained this concept so realistic way in my course. Okay, so here because of the time constraint I cannot explain, but this is what the meaning. Alleles have got independent existence. They have independent feeling, like they can combine with whomever they want, whatever the way they want. Okay, this law only we will call it as law of independent assortment. Look at here, the third law, law of independent assortment. Alleles of different genes assort independent. That means they get separated and they can combine however the way they want, whatever the way they want. Okay, and the new combinations can also be possible. So when different alleles combine, okay, differently, the new combinations are also possible. This proves that independent assortment of this proves independent assortment. Okay, right? So that is the conclusion you can give. So this is the dihybrid cross. So how do they ask a question? They can directly ask what, explain dihybrid cross, or they will ask you prove that alleles are independently assorted. Okay, or they will give certain questions, say you have heterozygous this, homozygous of this, so explain with the help of checkerboard. You know, this sort of questions are also very, very common. Okay, and finally we have sex determination in humans. So sex of a child always depends on a father. So you all know this is very easy, right? So a human female will have XX chromosome, whereas human male will have XY chromosome. So when female is crossed with a male, you know, the sex chromosomes in female is XX, sex chromosomes in male is XY. So gametes can have only one allele. All gametes in female will have only X allele because both are same. It's a homozygous condition. Whereas in father, the gametes can have either X allele or gametes can have Y allele. So when X combines with X, when egg having X combines with a sperm having X, you will have a chance of getting a female baby, whereas X is combining with Y, then we will have a chance of getting a male baby. So what is the chance of having male or female? It's only 50%, 50-50 chance is there. Okay, for predicting gender, right? And who is responsible for sex of a child? It is only father, because in father the gametes can be different. If a father's gamete having X combining with egg, it is a girl. If a father's gamete having Y combining with X will form male. Okay, so that's why we say father is responsible for sex of a child. Okay, yes, so that is sex determination. Now everybody were asking me a question, how do traits gets expressed? Guys, I have already told this initially. I'll tell this once again. How do traits gets expressed? Okay, so this actually I have very detailedly explained in one of my concept videos of YouTube as well as in the course also. In course I brought a very different approach. Okay, but here let me brief you out what actually is the concept. Very simple. What did I tell you? Directly DNA will not control a character. DNA will produce a particular protein and that protein will control the character, I said. No, the same thing here. See, DNA is a source of information. It is a source of information. Okay, so the information to produce a particular protein is there in DNA. Okay, so it is a source of information to produce a protein. To produce a protein which controls. You can write the same points if the question is asked. To produce a protein which controls a particular character. Which controls a particular character. So this is the very important sentence that you have to mention in the answer. Now you can explain this sentence with the help of example. Okay, so what is the example? We know a plant having, right? So a plant having capital T small t will grow as a tall plant, whereas a plant having small t will grow up as a dwarf plant. Right? So how this is possible? It's very simple. You know, since in plant which has got capital T small t, no, this capital T allele is dominant. Okay, so this gene is dominant over this gene. So this gene, the capital T gene, will give information because it is dominant. It gives information. It gives information to produce more and more auxin enzyme. Okay, what enzyme? So here enzymes are nothing but proteins only. Okay, hormones are nothing but proteins only here. Okay, so more and more auxin hormone, isn't it? This is what we mean by protein here. This is what we mean by protein. Okay, so when more and more auxin is produced, that means when more and more of this protein is produced, then that gets expressed. Okay, so that gets expressed means plant grows as a tall plant. That's it. So this you can write as an answer. So let me explain once again. Because the DNA is a source, it is just a source of information. Using this information, a particular protein is produced, and that protein actually controls a particular character. For example, see, a plant having capital T small t will grow as a tall plant. Why? Because capital T gene is dominant, and that is giving information to produce more and more protein. If this gene is there, if only small t is there, these are very recessive genes. They will not give information to produce more and more auxin. So when this is there, because this fellow is very active, it is giving more and more information to produce more and more protein. What is the protein here? The hormone called auxin. Because more and more auxins are produced in a plant, that plant will grow out as a taller plant. Okay, so this is how characters are expressed, or the traits are seen in the future generation. Okay, right? So that is all about the chapter, guys. So hope the concepts are very, very clear for you. So these are the concepts you have to concentrate for your board exam to have good marks. Okay, so tell me what is the concept you like the most, and you tell me which is the chapter you want next. Okay, so don't forget, comment in the chat section, and also think of joining to the course for more benefit. You will have everything that you want for your examination. You don't need to go for any coaching institute. You don't need to depend on anyone. Just one course with everything, okay, is available in the course. Not only the course helps you to get a mark, it can help you to build a solid foundation that can be very, very helpful for your future class 11 and 12 science subjects. Okay, so thank you so much. See you in the next video with another chapter.